Ever think about what actually happens after a product is made, but before you hit buy? We rarely give it a second thought when we click that button or grab something off a store shelf. But behind the scenes, there's this massive, incredibly complex operation working around the clock to make that simple transaction possible.
Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to decode the complex, interconnected game of physical distribution. We'll look at the exact mechanisms businesses use to move things from the factory floor straight into your hands, and why mastering this delicate balancing act is often the secret difference between a company that thrives and one that totally fails.
Here's our game plan for today. 1. The invisible bridge. 2. The great trade-off. 3. The winning playbook. And 4. The moving parts. All right, let's jump right into part 1, the invisible bridge, or the core concept of physical distribution.
Think about it. You could manufacture the absolute perfect product, the fastest smartphone, the best tasting snack, the most durable shoes ever made. But it's literally useless if it can't physically reach the buyer. Marketing legend Philip Kotler hits the nail on the head here. He defines this invisible bridge as planning, implementing, and controlling the physical flow of materials and products from their origin to the point of use to meet customer needs at a profit. That last part is absolutely crucial. We aren't just moving boxes for fun, we're doing it in a way that actually makes money.
And that brilliantly illustrates the core purpose of distribution, creating what we call time and place utility. Basically, this means creating immense value by making sure things are exactly where they need to be right when they're needed. I mean, a heavy winter coat is a lifesaver in a New York blizzard, right? But that exact same coat is totally worthless if it's stuck in a warehouse in July or sitting at a factory halfway across the world. Distribution is the bridge that solves that.
Moving on to Section 2, the great trade-off. We're talking total systems and total cost approaches.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Physical distribution is this massive, constant balancing act between maximizing customer service and minimizing your costs. Just look at this macro view for a second. It flows from suppliers to production to storage and all the way to retail. It's a total system. And because it's a total system, tweaking just one single thing on this map creates a ripple effect across the entire chain.
You really can't look at these stages in isolation. That's the essence of the total systems approach. Let's say management wants to slash transportation costs. Okay, great. But you can't do that without potentially wrecking your inventory management or tanking your customer service. Everything has to work in synergy. Sure, a slower shipping method saves cash up front, but if your retail shelves go empty and you get stockouts, you just lost the customer.
And here is the absolute ha-ha moment of the total cost approach. Take a look at Alternative A, using road transport, compared to Alternative B, using rail. If you just stare at the transport cost, rail looks like a no-brainer. It's 200 rupees versus 230. But wait, follow the ripple effect. Rail is slower, meaning you have to hold on to that inventory longer. So your inventory interest spikes from 100 to 150. Plus, your warehousing costs jump from 100 to 130. Suddenly, your quote-unquote keep rail option actually costs 480 in total, while the expensive road option only costs 430.
Crazy, right? So the major takeaway here is that a manager has to evaluate the total cost across all logistics activities to find the true, most profitable path. Optimizing just one tiny piece while ignoring the rest is a total trap. You have to look at the whole board and optimize the sum of the parts.
All right, Section 3, the winning playbook. Let's look at the main objectives of the distribution system.
So, what are we actually trying to achieve when we build and tweak this huge system? Well, our playbook is all about striking that perfect balance. We want to improve customer service with fast, reliable deliveries while simultaneously reducing total distribution costs, just like we saw with the road versus rail example. A killer distribution setup also generates additional sales, simply because a stock shelf always beats a competitor's empty one. We create those vital time and place utilities we talked about. And here's a really cool one. We can actually stabilize prices. Think about crops like cotton. By strategically warehousing goods during the harvest when supply is crazy high, and then releasing them during the off-season, a good distribution system literally prevents massive price spikes and crashes.
Which brings us to Section 4, the moving parts. Let's check out the actual elements of physical distribution.
So what's actually in the toolkit? What levers are logistics managers actively pulling to optimize this? There are 5 major elements here. We're going to rapid fire through them: order processing, warehousing, inventory control, transportation, and information monitoring. They are all distinct disciplines, but they're completely tangled up in one another.
First up, order processing. This is receiving, recording, filling, and assembling the orders. I know, it sounds super administrative, but hear me out. Fast, accurate handling right here is an immediate win for both the company and the customer's experience. If your order processing is clunky or full of errors, the entire chain is instantly crippled. It doesn't matter how fast your delivery trucks are if the initial order is totally messed up.
Next, we have warehousing. And no, this isn't just about dumping boxes into a dark, dusty room. It is highly strategic. This is what creates that time utility. Companies have to make massive decisions here. How many warehouses do we even need? Where exactly should they be on the map to reach customers fastest? Do we rent public space to save some cash, or do we build private facilities so we have 100% control over our goods?
Then there's inventory control. And guys, the stakes here are absolutely wild. In big manufacturing sectors, think steel or automobiles, inventory costs can eat up 30 to 40% of total costs. That is just a massive chunk of capital sitting there doing nothing. It's exactly why ultra-responsive setups like just-in-time inventory models are total game changers. The goal is to keep that percentage as low as humanly possible without ever running out of stock.
Element number 4. Transportation. This is the mobility engine of the whole operation, moving the goods via common, contractor, private carriers. And as we learned with the total cost approach, every single mode of transport has its own trade-offs. Trucks, super flexible, perfect for door-to-door small packages. Rail, awesome for hauling cheap, heavy bulk stuff, but zero flexibility. Management constantly has to weigh these options against the big picture.
And finally, element 5, information monitoring, the absolute brain of the operation. You literally cannot move physical goods efficiently without a flow of data moving even faster. Managers need real-time, up-to-the-second data on stock levels, carrier availability, current costs, future commitments, the whole shebang. If you don't have solid information monitoring, that entire total systems approach just collapses because you're essentially flying blind. So let's wrap this up. The next time you order something online and it magically appears perfectly on time right at your doorstep, take a second to think about the unbelievable invisible balancing act that actually made it happen. The strategic warehouses, the massive data streams, the trade-offs between rail and road, and the high-stakes game of inventory control. Distribution really is the invisible engine keeping the modern world running. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep questioning how the world around you actually works.